26, 2021 City Council meeting. Thank you for joining us in this remote meeting format, which enables the City Council to meet, hear from the community, and take care of business while keeping everyone safe. Anyone wishing to access the meeting can do so by watching the live stream available on our website, the broadcast on Comcast Channel 21, or by following the access instructions listed for this meeting on the public webcast and meeting materials web page. Tonight's meeting will include a public forum. If you wish to participate and haven't already done so, please raise your virtual hand now to join the speaker's queue in one of two ways. For those viewing the meeting on a computer or other device, click once on the hand icon. For those listening to the meeting on a phone, press *9. We will continue accepting raised hands until 7:35. The meeting moderator will disallow any requests to speak that are made after the deadline. You will have 2.5 minutes to speak. As a reminder, speakers have the option of turning on your video when you're called on to speak. As your turn is announced, the meeting moderator will temporarily promote you to panelist status, and you can unmute, and turn on your video if you wish. I encourage everyone to use this new increased access in a responsible way. Our intent is simply to be able to see each other's faces as testimony is given. Any misuse of the platform or violation of the council's code of conduct will result in an immediate termination of your speaking privilege. And finally, thank you all for choosing to spend a part of your evening with us tonight. As always, feel free to contact any one of us individually or together via email or voicemail if there is testimony you are not able to provide or wish to get to us in a different manner. And with that, I will open the meeting with a land acknowledgement. Since time immemorial, the Kalapuya people have been the indigenous stewards to our region, building dynamic communities, maintaining balance with wildlife, and enacting sustainable land practices. Following treaties between 1851 and 1855, Kalapuya people were dispossessed of their indigenous homeland by the United States government and forcibly removed to the Coast Reservation in Western Oregon. The city of Eugene is built within the traditional homelands known as Kalapuya Ilahi. Kalapuya descendants are citizens of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde Community of Oregon and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians of Oregon, and continue to make contributions in our communities here and across the lands. We acknowledge the inherent political sovereignty of the 9 federally recognized tribal nations in the state of Oregon and all American Indian Alaska Native people who live here. Thank you. And with that opening, I am happy to turn it over for committee reports and items of interest. Are there counselors who have comments to make? I have 2. Okay, Councilor Semple and then Councilor Groves.
Thank you. I'm the liaison to the Mackenzie Watershed Council, and Friday they had their annual field trip. And this year we went to see the holiday fire, which is, of course, devastating. A lot of the burnt belongings and houses are gone now. Did see a bunch of trees leaving on trucks. But really encouraging and exciting news is how hard all the partners of the Mackenzie Watershed have worked since the fire, and the coming together of different agencies. They were especially thankful for the city of Eugene and our arborists and engineers who put in a lot of hours. And it's just amazing. They have small trees and native vegetation coming up. The damaged hazardous logs have been removed. The stumps and the root systems are left there to stabilize the banks from erosion. So it just was a really big deal what they've been doing to keep our water safe. And I wanted to reassure you and also impress you on the dedication of people to our well-being. Thank you, Mackenzie Watershed Council, and all of your cohorts who are saving our safe drinking water. And it's beautiful. They're making beautiful difference too.
Thank you. Councilor Groves.
Thank you, Mayor. both the mayor and I serve on the Metropolitan Policy Committee, and this last Friday we both took part in a tour of local or really regional transportation projects being worked on by the state, Oregon Department of Transportation. We had elected officials from Eugene, Springfield, Lane County, Coburg, City of Coburg, and we had staff from all those agencies, all those jurisdictions, as well as LCOG. We took the tour on a LTD electric bus, which was very interesting. I was surprised at how well that performed. And after 6.5 hours of use, we'd only run the battery down by I think 14% or so. It was quite low. And it had every bit as much get up and go as any vehicle powered by an internal combustion engine of that size. So I was impressed by that. And I get to talk to the driver a little bit about some of the mechanics of that. And it's quite fascinating how it works. But anyway, we also had the Oregon Department of Transportation Director, Chris Strickland, join us for much of the tour. I had a chance to have lunch with him and talk about some of our local projects with an emphasis on safety, trying to hit our vision zero here for our community to make our transportation systems as safe as possible. And I just want to give one last little plug here as we work on transportation systems. I think it's important we all keep in mind that as we move to electrification of vehicles, an electric vehicle also takes up the same space as a vehicle powered by an internal combustion engine. So regardless of what our power sources are, we're still going to need the space to be able to move from point A to point B. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, and then Claire.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a brief moment to notate the passing in the last few days of Gretchen Holt Pierce. Someone who I think made incredible contributions to our community, and someone who the Chamber of Commerce honored previously as first citizen of Eugene because of the amount of work she did to add to everybody else's quality of life. I think it's fair to say she led the effort, and we may not have a Holt Center today without her efforts. And I just want to say I'm saddened by her passing, as I know so many other people are, and notate what a great asset and a great community member she was in Eugene. And we'll miss her. Thank you.
Thank you. Claire, and then Matt.
Thank you, Mayor. So as a member of the Lane Area Commission on Transportation, I was invited to go on that tour that Councilor Groves mentioned, and I'll explain why I missed it in a second, but Councilor Groves' assessment of the electric bus and how well it performed matches that of what Secretary of Transportation Buttigieg had to say when he was here visiting and got a chance to drive one of them, along with our local Congressman DeFazio. And I really want to appreciate Councilor Groves that you took advantage of having an audience with ODOT Director Strickland to speak to him about the importance of our Vision Zero work here in Eugene. I really appreciate you doing that. The reason I couldn't make the tour was that I took advantage of the new airline that is flying out of Eugene direct to Hollywood Burbank, Avelo Airlines, a low fare carrier. And that was a very good experience. I was very pleased with the service and the price. And so just promoting that we have more flights out of Eugene to other places than we've had in a long time. And these particular ones are very affordable. And while I was down in Los Angeles visiting good friends down there, I got to see one of our locally built Archimoto Fun-Vs driving down the LA freeway in the fast lane, keeping up with the rest of the traffic. And that was pretty fun to be able to tell my friends who live down there, hey, that is made in Eugene. That is a local product. That is, cutting edge in terms of transitioning us to electric vehicles. And then lastly, I will just apologize. to the folks coming to speak to us at Public Forum. If I look a little sleepy, the one downside of the trip was that I was on a flight very early this morning to come back here and work today. So I might look a little tired, and I don't mean any disrespect to anyone who comes to speak to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt and then Greg.
Thank you, Mayor. And if I look a little out of breath, I just got my steps in. I'm down here at our council offices. I thought I had enough time in between our work session and the meeting to get a slice of pie at Sizzle Pie. I decided I did not and hustled back. So forgive me if I'm a little out of breath tonight. I want to give thanks, Mayor, to the Eugene Springfield firefighters for the invitation to attend the barbecue last weekend, featuring the 4 finalists for chief. That was great to see colleagues there, and great to connect with our friends across the river on the Springfield City Council, and a lot of good conversation with Steve Moe, president of the council, and with Mayor Van Gordon about potentially getting our 2 councils together for some sort of future action, conversation, joint work session. I think there's a lot of opportunity there, and I'd love to see that come to fruition. On Saturday, I had the pleasure of attending the symphony. It was musical therapy. It was great to be back and hear a live audience and have folks social distance appropriately and respect each other's space. It was great to see colleagues, Councilors Zelenka and Gay, and Mayor Vinnis at the event, and Commissioners Bernie and Trieger, Rep Nathanson, and Senator Manning. And I lost my wallet at that show.
Ooh.
I lost my wallet, and the Cuthbert staff and the Eugene Symphony team and Kesey Enterprises were so on top of it. Today, as I was preparing all my paperwork to go to the DMV and get a replacement real ID, I got a phone call that my wallet was turned in, and I picked it up, and what a great stress relief that was. And I just want to express my thanks to the Cuthbert, to Eugene Symphony, and to Kesey Enterprises. And finally, Mayor, Councilor Ye knows this better than anyone. She was on site at the event. On Saturday, there was a firearm discharge at the Lane County Fair. Right here in our own backyard, there was an active shooter. Now, the teenager and teenagers involved are in custody or were apprehended. There were no fatalities. Nevertheless, there was a firearm discharge right here in our own backyard. Not only is that unacceptable, Mayor, I want to say how much I appreciate the community who responded appropriately, neighbors who let folks in for safe shelter, and law enforcement who responded swiftly to apprehend the perpetrator. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you for those comments. Greg and then Alan.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. For those of you who have not seen the news lately, in West Eugene, we had 2 brush fires today. Luckily, they were put out. But if you don't believe in climate change, those of you who don't believe in climate change, I implore you to look out your window, because it's here, and unless we do something, it's not going to go away. It's just going to get worse.
Thank you. Alan.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a positive thing. I too went to the symphony in the park with several of my 3,500 of my closest friends, and it was actually that was the 12th one. I think I've been to all of them. We didn't do one last year, which was too bad, but it's such an incredible community event. The music is incredibly accessible, from Star Wars themes to The Entertainer from Sting, and also and John Philip Sousa's songs, America Beautiful, and just incredible showcase of the art talent that we have in Eugene, from singers to the symphony, and Francesco Leite does an amazing job, and he's so engaging. It's And I encourage everybody next year when it comes around, get tickets. They're free because the city of Eugene helps pay for it, but it is such a great event and they go fast. So I just wanted to comment on one of the few times I've been out with my wife out into public in a big space like that. So it was just really, really fun and good to be back in community. And some of the performers said this is the first time they performed in front of a live audience in 2 years.
Thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I was actually going to just comment on the topic that Councilor Evans brought up and just let you know that there were 2 fires in west of town today, the first of which was in the Terry Street area in Councilor Groves' area, general area, and Councilor Evans. Probably less than 10 acres in size, BLM land, totally contained, wrapped up, and out. And then there was a second fire out in the Fur Butte area, so even farther west outside of our city boundaries, but also on BLM land, probably a little bit more than 10 acres, but not a lot. And that one is also contained and put out. So if people are seeing smoke or hearing about it, we were definitely involved. I've seen some images, but I don't want to take up your time showing them. So more on that later if you need more info.
Thank you. Thank you for all of those updates. I just wanted to just reinforce some of the comments that were made. The tour with the ODOT director and assistant director, was a showcase for us primarily to impress upon the state leadership and transportation how well coordinated we are, and we are of a single mind and purpose around our transportation planning, because we are, we're hoping for that funding to come in our direction. We have a priority around greenhouse gas reductions, and this was to make that case. And yes, there's repair for roads, but a big part of our pitch is around the investment in our biking and pedestrian improvements along, including what we do on Franklin Boulevard, including what we're doing around Delta, and including a proposal that is in Peter DeFazio's infrastructure package for a bike pedestrian bridge that would serve the students in North Eugene High School. So it was a really great opportunity, not only to showcase what LTD does, but how we all work together. And the director took that message to heart and reflected it back. So it was a really constructive time. And I will say that I actually had an opportunity to experience all of the arts coming back on board, and attended the opening night of the Oregon Festival of American Music, which was incredible, attended the symphony, and attended a small performance of the ballet in their new space on Sunday afternoon. So and across the board, these performers and arts organizations are just beside themselves with excitement to be back in front of an audience. And so it is really inspiring and a vision of good things to come. So we should be proud of those arts organizations for the way they have navigated, and proud of the city, because the city actually has made a lot of things possible for all of those arts organizations this year with our investments. And so it's tax dollars at work that has enabled these organizations to come through in a better place with taking advantage of the technology. Okay, with that, I believe we are ready for the consent calendar.
Thanks, Mayor. So I move to approve the items on consent calendar 1.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you very much. And now we are ready for the public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the City Council on any city-related issues, except for those items which have already been heard by a hearings official. When it is your turn, the moderator will announce your name and promote you to panelist status. Please state your name clearly, and for Eugene residents, your ward if known, before beginning your comments. Again, each person will have 2.5 minutes to speak. If you're watching the meeting, the timer should be visible. A yellow light will come on when you have 15 seconds to complete your comments. The red light indicates the end of the 2.5 minutes. For those who have connected to the meeting via phone and don't have the benefit of seeing the timer, please be aware that your microphone will be muted at the 2.5 minute mark. And I believe I am ready to turn this over to who is in charge, to our moderator. And I will just make a preface, which is as we do with our boards, all of our boards and commissions, tonight we are also to hear an annual report, or not quite, 6-month report from the new Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. So they are first up with an opportunity to speak, and I will let the moderator introduce them.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we start, we're showing the order of those that signed up to speak. Thank you. And as the mayor mentioned, we are joined this evening by 2 members of the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council to present its annual report. The first presenter is Lucas Scott, followed by Sophia El Shama.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Mayor, City Council members, and City Manager. I think we already did the introduction, but yeah, I'm Lucas Scott, and I'm going to be sharing the first part of the annual report for the Eugene Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. So first, I'd like to give a brief description of what the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council is and what we do. Our group is modeled after similar groups throughout Oregon and across the country. We were formed to provide a way for youth voices to influence policy at the City of Eugene and to bridge the gap between the youth and the local government in the city. We formed from an application process open to all high school age youth in November 2020, and we first convened in December 2020, and we've been meeting virtually on a monthly basis since then. We also recently passed our bylaws. These will serve as a framework for our process and structure moving forward, and they give us direction on our elections, on participation standards, and on position descriptions of our elected officers. These positions include our 2 co-chairs, our secretary, and our community ambassador. To write these bylaws, we created a governance subcommittee, which met weekly over the course of a few months, and of which me and Sophia were a part of. So yeah, I will hand it over to Sophia to finish up the rest of the annual report. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so like Lucas said, I'm Sophia Al-Shama, and I'll just be finishing up. So the first thing we did, we discussed areas of interest that the whole committee shared, and we found a couple of common areas and those include homelessness, youth substance abuse, racial equity, and education. So homelessness was the most common area brought up, and we want to focus on the issue as a whole, but we plan to create projects specifically for helping homeless youth. As for youth substance abuse, we hope to create seminars at a public space like the Eugene Library to help educate people about substance abuse. And on racial equity, we're going to work with BIPOC student unions and other groups in Eugene, and we're planning to organize projects that help educate people about the history of racism in Eugene and its presence now. And as for education, we recognize that our goals here might be a little harder to accomplish, as the City of Eugene government is not directly responsible for education, but rather the school district. That being said, we do want to provide resources specifically that relate to education and mental health for students and families in need. And okay, so for the rest of the term, our first officer elections will begin soon. And we are currently planning a group-wide service project to help build community within our committee while helping the community. As for our 2021-2022 term, we are planning to continue with service and fill in vacancies left by graduating seniors. We plan to create a communication between MEAC and the general youth through a suggestion box that will likely be managed by our community ambassador, and continue working with our areas of interest, as outlined above. And that's it. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Lucas and Sophia. Our next speaker will be Marty Wilder, followed by 350 Eugene.
I don't hear the audio. Are you there?
We can hear you. We can see you.
Okay. My name is Marty Wilder. I live in Ward 2. I was a member of the ad hoc committee, and I'd like to speak tonight in response to today's work session report from the trio. I'm very happy that the trio came up with a decision matrix. It's a little bit sad that the council seems to have not seen these before. They're sort of 101 in my 10th grade engineering design classes. I would have been much more impressed if the matrix didn't seem to be completely blank. The trios had more than 2 months with this, and I wish they had at least filled in the sections that said what requires a change to city code or city charter, etc. That's the information that they can really give to you and help you make your decisions. Also, on May 31st, 7 members of the ad hoc committee sent a letter to the trio and to all of you listing 8 of the 50 recommendations that we thought could be acted on immediately. So I was surprised that we didn't get any response on that and that the trio didn't seem to dive into those. So I heard Councilor Zelenka say that it's not so easy as just saying, let's just adopt all 50 recommendations. I get that. But when we get no response and there seems to be no real action, 3 months, almost 3 months since the reports come out, it starts to feel like smoke and mirrors. So my advice at this point is to move forward with the decision matrix, make it live, publicly viewable as a living document so that we can see what's happening and what's not happening. Also make sure that your sounding board includes those kind of voices that you asked to come up with the proposals in the first place, because that underrepresented and most adversely affected perspective is critical to the process. And then lastly, I wanted to say that there's more in there than the 50 recommendations. Specifically, in the appendix, Transponder supplied a model police policy with 7 best practices for interacting with transgender people. EPD does not follow all of these practices. We would appreciate a response listing what is and isn't implemented and what the intentions are to meet those best practices. So thank you so much for your work, and I'm looking for more. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be 350 Eugene, followed by Matthew Yook.
Good evening. My name is Debbie McGee, and I've lived in the Eugene area for 40 years. At the last meeting, there was support voiced for Councillor Syrett. I don't know what the issue was, but I do believe that Councillor Syrett is an honorable and caring person. My hope is that the 350 Eugene climate activist community will engage with respectful and supportive efforts for climate action. I know you recognize our role is to pressure you to work as hard as you can to take climate action. While hard as we try, we may make some mistakes and we may disagree with you, but we know that you are working hard in a very difficult situation. Manager Maderi, we also appreciate you. We love you, Eugene. We respect you. And we're trying to help you make changes in the franchise agreement by helping with legal support from the Breach Law Collective and Earth Justice lawyers. On July 21st, Alameda County, California Board of Supervisors voted to force the 2 biggest refineries to cut particulate matter emissions. It will cost the oil refineries hundreds of millions of dollars to do it. I quote Supervisor Nat Miley, "Whatever we do, we're going to face a legal challenge, and that's the name of the game. I want history to show, at least my vote, that I was on the side of protecting communities, putting the health of people over cost, above money, and above refineries." On June 16th, Michael Mann was on Democracy Now! He said that everything damaging about the climate is happening faster than scientists predicted. Thank you, Councillor Evans, for bringing up climate change. He's written a new book called The New Climate War and How We Can Win It. Councilor Syrett, I left a new copy for you at the City Hall desk a few months ago. I hope that you received it. Michael Mann is a climate scientist at Penn State. He said the only question that we haven't answered yet is how bad are we willing to let it get? The only question we haven't answered yet is how bad are we willing to let it get? Councilors, I respectfully implore you, be on the right side of history. Putting the health and safety of people over money and pipelines and profits. Have a rigorous work session. Confront and close the gap to reach the goals. Implement a strong climate action plan. And find legal, regular to stop.
Thank you, 350 Eugene. That concludes your time. Our final speaker will be Matthew Yook. Matthew, are you able to unmute?
Hello, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Hi, Matthew Yook, resident Ward 4. And I want to thank you all for trying to not only align some state measures of hate and bias reporting that Fabio has been very good and instrumental in driving forth with a new task force statewide. I still feel like it falls short of some of the recommendations that I thought were really easy asks. The allowing for more submitting is rad. And I mean, again, that 40% statistic, right? Like a lot of the information I felt presented just kind of rehashed a lot of the reports that have already come through to the city council, as opposed to really innovating or trying to approach a new model to say, okay, well, we had this huge reporting when this new HRC reporting happened a few years ago. But with the lack of response and the lack of resolution and lack of people being made whole, I think that was a huge reason why reports are going down. Not necessarily people experiencing less bias, experiencing less hate, right? Like, as was brought up earlier in the work session, well, that's not our jurisdiction event that happened out in Santa Clara, right? I don't want that to be like the answer that I was expecting to hear, but it kind of was. And so, like, as we move forward with some of the ways that y'all were mentioning proactive approaches, while it might take a little more investment, I think it could be a drop in the bucket compared to some of the harm it could prevent to some of our local businesses, to some of our people, to some of the families here. And so I just hope that we keep moving forward on this. Like, it's great that Eugene helped pioneer and revolutionize some of these ideas, right? But if we want to keep that idea that we're actually doing something about it, making sure they're effective, and then making sure that we keep pushing is something that I know that we can do. And these ad hoc committee recommendations, this coming together is really, really actually refreshing and great to hear. Like, I mean, y'all were talking about, yay, it's going well. And so just keep doing well. Thank you all. Take care and happy almost August. Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Matthew. And I apologize, I misspoke. Our final speaker this evening will be Brooklyn.
Hello, City Council. I just, right after last time we spoke, the article came out in the EPD about the death of Landon Payne in the county jail. And I was just wanted to mention that. I feel like perhaps you guys could mention it, and we could take a few moments in the silence for a member of our community that was killed needlessly. We choose to decide that that's okay, that like part of policing is that we kill people, that people get killed because they have to comply immediately, even when they're in a mental health crisis. So we're deciding these, and people are dying. And there's some really, obviously, that it was a deeply disturbing article, and I sent you a letter describing some of that. And I just hope you share these concerns, that maybe we could move forward in a world where I wouldn't worry about my family members and other members of the community's safety, that I could feel safe, like that the police were actually had an obligation not kill me. And they would be held to account if they did. It's just a wild imagination that I have, I guess. But at the very least, I just like you to acknowledge that somebody was killed and that it was covered up. And there was just a big kind of bombshell news article about that. So thank you for your time. I hope you pass this first start at looking at policing deeper. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes the public forum.
Thank you very much, Jessica, and thank you to everyone who testified. But first of all, I'm particularly excited to have the Youth Advisory Council up and running and having developed their governance structure and developing a plan for how they're going to proceed for the coming year. It was challenging to bring a brand new council together with students who didn't know each other through Zoom and begin to learn how they might function. And these are pretty extraordinary people, and they've done a great job. So I'm glad they had a chance to present to you and appreciate their coming. Are there other counselors who have comments, reactions to what they've heard? Okay, I would just say one other thing to Marty, which is that our direction to the city manager was to come back with a framework to very deliberatively and respectfully go through the recommendations, and that is what has happened, and that matrix will be filled out when we meet again in September, and so there will be much more information that's available. It will be posted on the website, so it is not smoke and mirrors. I think it's an attempt to be very, very transparent and clear about where we are and where we're trying to go, and hopefully as we proceed, you will feel more confident about that investment in our efforts. Any other comments? All right. Okay, oops. With that, we are ready to go on to our first action item. An ordinance concerning commercial setbacks and amending sections 9.05.
I think you might have a second consent calendar.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I scrolled right past it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Consent calendar item number 2.
Thanks, Mayor. I move to approve the items on consent calendar 2.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you very much. That passes. Okay. All right. Now we're on the action item. An ordinance concerning commercial setbacks and amending sections 9.0500, 9.2170, 9.3125, 9.4290, and 9.4530 of the Eugene Code 1971, and providing an effective date. Manager, do you want to introduce the topic?
Sure thing. So City Council held a public hearing on this item on July 19th, and you did not receive any public testimony. As a reminder, the amendments are related to commercial setbacks, and it's proposed would do the following. I'll just walk through them really quickly. Apply only to new buildings and linear expansion of existing buildings on commercially zoned property. Requires a minimum setback of 3 feet for property zone C3 major commercial and 5 feet for property zone C2 community commercial. Add landscaping and hardscaping or pedestrian amenity requirements for minimum setback areas of all commercially zoned properties. Allows exceptions to the minimum setback for ground floor commercial uses when windows and taller ceilings are provided. Dimensions and window percentages are context specific with more stringent requirements in the downtown area. Allows exceptions to the minimum setback for ground floor residential uses when residences are vertically separated, and enhanced pedestrian space is provided. Setback reduction allowance is context specific and differs between downtown and other areas. Also allows for an adjustment review process when a proposal responds to the intent of the code and creatively meets or exceeds the development standards. Tonight is an opportunity for you to take action on this proposed land use code amendment. We also have staff here if you have questions about any of the specifics. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Alan, do you have a question before we put this motion on the table?
No, go ahead and put the motion on the table.
All right. Councilor Ye, why don't you put it on the table?
Sure. I move to adopt the ordinance concerning commercial setback standards included as attachment A to the AIS provided for this item.
Second.
Okay, Councilor Zelenka.
Thank you, Mayor. I would note that this item first came up by me 4.5 years ago, since I brought it up. And sometimes the wheels of government do indeed turn slowly. That's a little too slow for my taste, but I do appreciate the unanimous vote by the City Council to move this forward, and then the unanimous vote by the Planning Commission to move this back to the Council for approval. Essentially what it does is it flips the default from a set with no setbacks to setbacks citywide. And the intent of all of this is to make sure you have more livable, greener, healthier, vibrant, pedestrian-friendly streets in our city, not just downtown, but everywhere, especially in the corridors as we start, transportation corridors as we start to build them out. So I think those are really good, important goals for us to deal with. I had several questions for staff. This applies to new buildings and any building addition that increases the length of the building facade at least 100%. I was wondering what the rationale was for the 100% figure.
Thank you for the question. We pulled the 100% from existing code. That's a threshold that's set in other parts of our code for the threshold at which something would have a standard come into effect.
Right, so it's based on previous practice in different areas.
That's correct. And trying to make the code as user-friendly as we can and staying consistent with what's already there.
Right. Could you describe, I'm kind of just walking through the ordinance. So on page 2 of the ordinance 4B1, where it says the landscaping area shall be done to the basic landscape standard. I'm not sure most people know what the basic landscape standard is. Can you describe that a little bit?
Sure, I was just catching up to your page there. Yes, as far as the basic landscape standard goes, we're kind of looking for ground cover. So it's not necessarily large canopy trees or shrubs, but we're looking for a nice ground cover and some kind of lower plants to be in that area.
Right, and that 10% number. In section 4B2a describes where what the setback requirements are. There's 2 projects in particular I'm wondering if they could occur underneath this in this new ordinance. One is the new Hilliard and Broadway apartment complex. There's a concrete wall that's going to be probably about 75 feet long with no windows, just concrete, about 10 or 12 feet tall. And then it opens up into, apparently it's going to open up into the lobby. I was wondering if that would have been would be allowable under this law, this new ordinance. And then on 5th Street Alley, the new building that runs across Broadway, there are windows from floor to ceiling, but they're covered up with posters in them, so you have no visibility through them. I'm wondering if that type of would also be allowed under this new code.
So I'm not particularly familiar with either of the new buildings or the specific set of building plans to compare against the code. I think I heard you talk a little bit about having a blank concrete wall next to the sidewalk. So if we were looking at those commercial exception standards, it would have requirements for the number of windows that would be required along that area being at least 75% of that area. So I suppose if you had a really, really long building, you could end up with 75 feet, but I think that's pretty unlikely. And then I think the second thing I heard in there was about having some sort of window coverings on the inside of a window. You know, with the land use code, we're trying to raise the bar with the design standards, but as far as what someone chooses to do in their own private space, we don't really have a lot of regulation for that in the land use code. And I don't know that that's something that we could get to either.
Well, I'm wondering what the portion of the code says that the glazing or openings must allow two-way visibility. Does that mean just pass? And I'll need another round.
I can answer that question really quickly if that works. Okay. That has to do with the actual building construction material. So the window itself, not necessarily what happens on the private side inside of the building.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Councilor Slanka, I don't see anyone else with a hand raised. So if you have another set of questions, go for it.
Yeah, I know that in section 3, B, the ground floor residential uses with a vertical separation of 3 feet above grade. Do I read this correctly? They still have to have they can have a reduced setback, but it's still only 3 feet.
All right, again, there I was just looking at my computer screen and following the section there. You're correct. So if they were zone C2, they would only be able to come up to 3 feet of the public way.
Okay, so I know there's a process for adjustment review. We wrote that into the motion that there should be possibilities for going to zero lot line, but can you describe how that would occur and when that would occur, where people could build right up to the sidewalk at the zero lot line, and kind of give an example?
Sure. So as far as the adjustment review process goes, it's a type 2 land use application. So someone would turn in an application with the city, and then city staff would review that. It's a decision that's made by the planning director based on adopted criteria that are already in the code. And then a lot of those criteria that we would look at for an adjustment to setback standards are related to things like the building facade, the pedestrian realm. So it kind of gets at some of these things that we're trying to address with this code change in a more subjective way. So it's that subjective outlet to actually look at a specific building.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I had, Mayor. I encourage my fellow councilors to support this adoption of this ordinance. I think it accomplishes what we're trying to do. And I've talked to staff about it in some depth, so I feel comfortable with it at this point. Again, every time we do one of these things, it's if we get it wrong, and that's always a possibility, we could always come back and modify it. But I think this is a good place to go for right now and see if it creates any unintended consequences.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. I will probably vote in favor of this. On balance, I think it's a good idea, but I do wonder, Althea, would you say it's fair to define this as the difference between current code and this new code would increase floor area ratio?
I think that question it's really development specific. That's challenging for me to answer in kind of a broad sense. Depending on a specific building or plan, it may or may not.
But we're leaving less footprint. Thus, if a building was going in with a certain square footage goal, for example, with less floor area, the ratio would by force need to be higher. Yes.
Yes, I think I agree. I think I follow what you're saying there, and that makes sense to me.
The reason I say that is because it's my understanding, and perhaps I'm wrong, but all the things I've always heard over the years is that it tends to make things more expensive the more you increase floor area ratio. Would you say that's a fair categorization?
I think that's likely correct. The one thing I think, just for context, that I may add is that in general, a large number of the applications that we see actually request adjustments to setback. from the public way and have some more space for their parking. So I don't know how that would pencil out for a specific development, but with the number that we see asking to set back further, it may be that it works out.
Well, I know that years ago, I mean, years and years ago, there was a process to adjust floor area ratio where many counselors at the time, this is before Alan and I, thought that that was a wise way to increase density, was to jack floor area ratio requirements very, very high. And that was done kind of sporadically based on geography in our downtown and other places. So you'd get to one part of downtown where the minimum floor area ratio is 0.67 and in another part it's 2. So is that still something, to the best of your knowledge, that we have as a very differentiated sort of set of minimum standards based on geography, especially in downtown?
I do know we have different FAR standards for different parts of town. I don't recall the specific numbers for those though.
I know this is kind of an inside baseball thing, but for those that build stuff, it may end up that this creates particular places where it becomes, unfortunately, prohibitively expensive to build things, especially housing when we want to. So I raised the issue not to throw cold water on anything. I'll probably vote for it. But I would suggest that staff look at that to see, are we, as an unintended consequence of what I suspect will be passing this, creating any particular pockets downtown or otherwise, where we've just made it prohibitively expensive to build something, so that we don't get in the way of someone's idea of housing in a particular place, that this would be an unintended consequence for that. So thank you.
Thank you. So if there are no other questions or comments, I think we're ready for a vote. Would everyone all in favor please raise your hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that passes. That's excellent. Great improvements. All right, and then our final action of the night, an ordinance vacating portions of Mill Alley and easements located within the boundaries of the plat of town run. And I'll turn that back to the city manager to introduce.
Thank you, Mayor. The Eugene Urban Renewal Agency has requested vacations of one right-of-way and one public utility easement associated with an undeveloped plat, so City Files VPU 21-1 and VPU 21-2, and vacations of two public utility easements acquired with public funds, City Files VRP 21-1 and VRP 21-2. The Urban Renewal Agency filed these 4 requests for vacations related to the City Council's recent approval of the Town Run subdivision located on the downtown riverfront property, and as I mentioned in the last meeting, named after that run of the Willamette River. The right-of-way, an undeveloped portion of Mill Alley, was dedicated through the original plat of Eugene City in 1852, but never developed, and as a result, the vacation requires City Council approval. Additionally, one of the undeveloped easements was also part of the undeveloped original plat of Eugene City. The remaining 2 easements were purchased with public funds, and as a result, these vacations also require City Council approval. The applicant has requested the vacations to prepare the property for development. You had a public hearing on this July 19th. No public testimony was provided. Tonight is an opportunity for you to take action on the requested vacation. Thank you, Mayor. We have staff here as well.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments? Oh, I guess we'll just, Councilor Ye, why don't you just put it on the table?
Sure. I move to adopt the ordinance included as attachment B to this AIS vacating portions of Mill Alley and easements located within the boundaries of the plat of Town Run.
Second.
Any need for comment? Doesn't look like it. All in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that passes. Thank you very much. Thank you all for the discussion, and we are adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.